I never thought the day would come when my own son, the boy I carried for 9 long months, the boy I raised through tears and sacrifice, the boy I gave my whole life for, would look at me with shame in his eyes. But it happened. It happened on a warm spring afternoon when he walked into my little kitchen, sat across from me, and dropped words so heavy, so cruel, that they shattered every part of me. "Mom," he said softly at first, "I don't want you at my wedding." At first, I thought maybe he was joking. My son always had this strange sense of humor growing up, sarcastic, dry, sometimes even a little cruel but never serious. So I smiled, trying to laugh it off. "Don't be silly, Adam," I said, stirring the pot of stew I had on the stove. "Of course I'll be there. I wouldn't miss your wedding for the world." But then I turned around, and the look on his face, it wasn't a joke. His jaw was tight, his eyes refused to meet mine, and there was this strange tension in the air, the kind you can almost feel pressing against your skin. "Mom," he repeated, "I don't want you there. You embarrass me. You'll embarrass her family. I just can't have you there." I froze. The spoon slipped from my hand, clattering against the floor, splattering stew across the tiles. But I didn't care. My ears were ringing. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would stop. I whispered, almost afraid to hear my own voice. "Embarrass you? How could I embarrass you, Adam?" And then, with a voice that cut through me like glass, he said the words that I will never forget, words that are still carved into my soul. "You're too ugly. I don't want you ruining my wedding pictures. I don't want people whispering about how I came from you. I know some of you watching this might think, surely he didn't mean it, surely it was said in anger, surely a son couldn't possibly mean something so cruel. But he meant it. Every word. I saw it in his eyes. He was ashamed of me his mother. I'll take you back a little so you understand. I wasn't always what you'd call ugly. I was never a beauty queen, never the kind of woman men turned their heads for. But I was simple, modest, and life took its toll. Years of hard work, years of raising Adam alone after his father left us when he was only 6 months old, years of skipping meals so he could eat, years of walking to work in the cold because we couldn't afford the bus. Those years carved themselves into my face. Wrinkles too deep for my age, calloused hands, tired eyes, a stooped back from too many shifts bending over sewing machines in a factory. I never complained. Not once. Because every time I looked at Adam's face, I knew it was worth it. Every sacrifice, every hunger pang, every tear I cried in the dark, it was all worth it, because I was building him a future. But standing there in my little kitchen, hearing my own son call me ugly, call me an embarrassment, it felt like all those years were for nothing. I wanted to scream. I wanted to cry. But instead I just stood there silent. He waited for me to respond. Maybe he wanted me to argue. Maybe he wanted me to beg. Maybe he even wanted me to slap him. But I didn't. I simply nodded. "All right," I whispered. "If that's what you want." That night, I cried myself to sleep. Not quiet little sobs. No. The kind of crying that shakes your whole body. The kind of crying that leaves you gasping for air, clutching your pillow like it's the only thing keeping you alive. The kind of crying that feels endless, like you're drowning in your own grief. And in the silence between sobs, I kept asking myself one question. How did we get here? You see, Adam wasn't a cruel boy growing up. He was kind, sensitive even. When he was little, he used to hold my hand so tightly when we walked to school. He used to bring me wildflowers from the field behind our house. He used to say, "Mom, when I grow up, I'm going to buy you a big house, and you'll never have to work again." Those words, they were the fuel that kept me going. But somewhere along the way, he changed. Maybe it was the friends he made. Maybe it was the expensive college he got into on scholarship, surrounded by kids from wealthy families. Maybe it was his fiancée, with her perfect family and perfect life. Somewhere along the way, he forgot where he came from. He forgot me. I didn't go to the wedding. I sat at home in my faded dress, staring at the clock, imagining him standing at the altar, smiling, laughing, living his perfect moment, without me. The silence of that day was louder than any noise I had ever known. But life has a way of writing stories you don't expect. Because just when I thought I had lost everything, just when I thought my heart could break no further, something happened that changed everything. I didn't go to Adam's wedding. I sat in my little house, wearing the only nice dress I owned, navy blue, with small embroidered flowers along the sleeves. I had saved it for years, thinking maybe one day I'd wear it to his graduation, or to his wedding. But instead, I wore it alone, sitting at my kitchen table, listening to the old clock tick on the wall. Each tick was like a hammer against my chest. I imagined it all in my head. The church filled with laughter and perfume. The bride walking down the aisle, radiant in her gown. The guests smiling, clapping, taking pictures that would be framed and shared for years to come. And my son standing at the altar, smiling that smile I used to live for. I could almost hear the priest's voice echoing through the walls of my empty house. Do you, Adam, take this woman? I closed my eyes and let silent tears roll down my cheeks. At that moment, I wasn't just mourning the loss of being part of his wedding. I was mourning the loss of him. The little boy who used to run into my arms after school. The boy who would whisper, "I love you, Mom," before falling asleep. He was gone. And in his place stood a man who thought I was too ugly to stand beside him on the most important day of his life. When night fell, I walked outside into the quiet. The air was cool, the stars faint above me, and I whispered a prayer, not for myself but for him. God, just let him be happy. If my absence makes him happy, then let it be enough. But deep inside, my heart cracked in a way that would never fully heal. 2 months passed before I heard from Adam again. I hadn't called. I hadn't visited. I had promised myself I would give him the life he wanted, without me. But then one evening the phone rang. I picked it up, and when I heard his voice, my knees nearly gave out. Mom. It was him. My son. There was something in his tone, shaky, desperate, broken. Adam? What is it? Are you okay? Silence. And then through the line, I heard the sound of him crying. I messed up, Mom. I messed everything up. My heart raced. What happened? Tell me. He hesitated, his breathing ragged. She left me. I froze. What do you mean? She left, Mom. She took everything. The money, the apartment. She said she never really loved me. She just liked the image. The wedding. The photos. And now she's gone. I gripped the edge of the counter, my knuckles white. My son, the same son who had cast me aside, was broken. And despite everything, despite the cruel words, despite the pain, every part of me still wanted to hold him, still wanted to protect him, still wanted to be his mother. Come home, Adam, I whispered. Just come home. He did. That night, just after midnight, I heard a car pull into the driveway. I opened the door, and there he was, my son. But not the man from the wedding photos. This was a boy again. A broken, fragile boy. His eyes were swollen, his hair unkempt, his clothes wrinkled. The moment he saw me, he broke. He fell into my arms, sobbing like he hadn't since he was a child. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry. And I held him. I stroked his hair, whispered the same words I had whispered to him as a baby. It's okay. It's okay. You're home now. In the weeks that followed, Adam stayed with me. He didn't talk much at first, but slowly, piece by piece, the truth came out. His wife, Emily, came from a wealthy family. A family that looked down on me before they even met me. She had convinced Adam that I would ruin the image she wanted to project. She said, "You'd embarrass me, Mom," Adam admitted one night, his voice barely above a whisper. And I believed her. I let her poison me against you. I thought if I cut you out, she'd love me more. That I'd finally belong in her world. I closed my eyes, pain burning in my chest. He had chosen her image of perfection over me. But now she was gone. And I was still here. For a long time I didn't say anything. And then one evening, as we sat at the table eating the same stew I used to make when he was little, I finally spoke. Adam, I said softly, I would have given my life for you. Every scar, every wrinkle on my face, it's because of you. Because I worked myself to the bone to give you a chance at life. And when you told me I was too ugly for your wedding, my voice broke. Tears blurred my vision. It nearly killed me. He looked at me then, his face pale, his eyes glistening. Mom, I don't deserve your forgiveness. And he was right. He didn't. But forgiveness is not something you give because someone deserves it. It's something you give because love demands it. And I loved him. Despite everything, I loved him. Life fell into a strange rhythm. Adam stayed with me, and slowly he began to rebuild his life. He got a new job. He started helping around the house. For the first time in years, he would sit across from me at the kitchen table and really look at me, as if trying to memorize the face he once rejected. But something inside me had changed. I loved my son, yes. I forgave him, yes. But there was a scar deep inside me that never healed. Every time he smiled at me, I couldn't forget the words he once said. You're too ugly. You'll ruin my wedding pictures. Those words lived inside me, echoing in my bones. One evening, Adam came into the living room holding a photo album. Mom, he said, I want you to have this. He placed it on my lap. I opened it, and froze. It was the wedding album. Page after page of smiling faces. The bride radiant in her gown. Adam beaming at the altar. Guests laughing, champagne glasses raised. The dance floor filled with joy. But me? I wasn't there. I was a ghost. A mother erased. And as I stared at those glossy photos, something inside me hardened. I realized in that moment that sometimes forgiveness isn't enough. Sometimes love demands something more. It was late, maybe past midnight, when Adam knocked softly on my bedroom door. Mom, he whispered, can we talk? I sat up, pulling my shawl around me. Of course. He stepped inside, sat at the edge of the bed, his face pale in the dim light. I know I don't deserve it, he began, his voice trembling. But I need to ask you for something. My heart tightened. What is it? He looked at me then, his eyes filled with guilt and longing. Smile for me, Mom. I frowned. What do you mean? I never let you smile at my wedding. I took that away from you. And I see it now, the pain I caused. Please just smile at me. One last time. So I can carry it with me. So I never forget. Do you know what it feels like when the very person who broke you comes back, begging for the piece of you they once destroyed? It's cruel. It's ironic. But it's also powerful. I sat there in silence, my heart pounding, my mind racing. Part of me wanted to refuse. To tell him no. To let him live forever with the regret of never seeing me smile again. But another part of me, the mother in me, knew I couldn't. Because love, even when scarred, has its own strange mercy. So I looked at my son. The boy I had carried. The boy I had raised. The boy who had broken me. And I smiled. Not a small smile. Not a forced one. But the kind of smile that carries a lifetime of love and pain and forgiveness all at once. His eyes filled with tears. He grabbed my hand, holding it tight against his cheek. Thank you, Mom, he whispered. I'll never forget this. And in that moment, I let him smile one last time. What Adam didn't know, what he could never have guessed, was that the cancer inside me had been growing for months. I hadn't told him. When the doctor gave me the diagnosis, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just accepted it. Maybe it was fate. Maybe it was justice. Or maybe it was just life. But I knew my time was short. And that smile, the one I gave him that night, was the last one he would ever see. A few weeks later, I was gone. When Adam found my letters, tucked neatly in the drawer beside my bed, he wept. In them I told him everything. That I forgave him. That I loved him. That no matter what he said or did, he would always be my son. And I told him one final truth. Don't remember me for my face, Adam. Remember me for my smile. The one I gave you that night. Because it was not just forgiveness. It was goodbye. They say words can destroy. And they can. But they can also heal. My story isn't just about a son who betrayed his mother. It's about every person out there who feels unseen, unwanted, unloved. It's about the scars we carry, not on our skin but in our hearts. And it's about the power of forgiveness. Because in the end, forgiveness isn't about erasing the pain. It's about choosing love, even when it hurts. And sometimes, it's about letting someone smile one last time.